Hi, welcome back. This is a really nice Megane 225 that's been left with us for tuning. As you can see here, it's got lots of nice mods that have been done to it. It's a fully forged engine. It's got 402 cat cams in it, and it's got a hybrid turbo on it. It's had the fuel system completely upgraded. It's got the rising rate reg at the front here. It's running short Siemens 925cc injectors. All the rest of the stuff on it is like really nice. It's got an intercooler upgrade. It's got I think it's a K-Tech pod filter down here or whatever, so it's got some really nice stuff. It has been dynoed once before. It's a long time ago, and there was a dyno sheet and it made 380 horsepower at the engine. It's never been able to get back there since. It looks like it was a bit of a one-off sheet. So the owner's kind of taken it to a whole heap of different places, trying to get back to that number. They haven't been able to do it. So at this point in time, it looks like we're going to do a Motec upgrade on the whole thing. The main reason we're doing the Motec upgrade is this is still running the factory Sagem S3000 ECU. I think it's the S3000 is what the number is. And you just need to understand it's quite a good ECU for a standard car, but the mods that this car's probably taken it way past that. And there's a few different reasons for that. Basically, the Meg 225 only has a crankshaft sensor. It doesn't have a camshaft sensor. So basically, it can only run in like a semi-sequential batch fire kind of a situation, because it doesn't really know whether it's number 1 cylinder that's at the firing stroke or number 4 cylinder at the firing stroke. So it kind of limits what it can do in knock control. It kind of tends to run a more global kind of setup with knock control rather than an individual cylinder kind of a deal, which does have an effect on the outcomes, because these ECUs kind of take timing out when a knock event happens, and they're not real keen to put it back in. They will put it back in once you power down and the ECU resets, but then once it has a few knock events, it kind of goes back to a retard kind of a situation. The injection is also not fully sequential, because once again, it doesn't really know whether it's number 1 or number 4, or likewise number 2 or number 3. So you don't really get any advantage out of injection timing really with it, because it really doesn't know at what point it's injecting the fuel into the engine. The other issue the ECU does have, and look, even the 3110 that's in the Megane 3, that has the same issue. It's only a narrowband sensor, so there's no wideband knock control. So when you're on, not knock control, fuel control. So when you're on full throttle, there is no closed loop fuel tuning available, because the knock sensor can't read down there. The only place where it can kind of put an overall fuel trim in the map is when you've been cruising along on the highway around that lambda 1.0 mark. The minute you go into any kind of a load situation and you're down asking for 11.5 to 1 fuel, it can't do anything about trimming it to make sure that the fuel number is going to get down to the target lambda number. So there's a few issues with that kind of a system. What we're going to be looking at doing with this is we'll put one of our Motec kits onto it, so it'll have all our normal features, like there'll be the rev match on downshift, there's the no lift upshift, you can have a ghost cam function, the crackle overrun that you can tune. There is anti-lag available if you really want to go down that path. Most people don't. We can put fuel pressure, it'll trim against fuel pressure. There's a wideband lambda control, so it'll trim back to a number even under load, and the knock control on it is fully sequential as well, so it only takes timing out of the cylinder that's actually having a knock event. It doesn't take it out of all of them, just that one, and it feeds it back in as quickly as what it possibly can. As with all our other Renault packages, there's no check engine lights that light up. All the features work, the air conditioning works, the push button starter function works. the distance to empty stuff all works, the fuel level stuff all works, the liters per 100 kilometers, all that stuff, everything just works within the system. We'll also upgrade this one for one of our sequential ignition coil updates, because that also helps with spark management and getting a better spark out of the factory coils. The other thing we might look at doing, which we can do pretty easily with the Motec system, is we might look at upgrading the throttle body as well, because these throttle bodies are quite small, and an engine of this kind of capacity, you'd like to think there's probably best part of another 100 horsepower that's not being capitalised on at the moment. We've dynoed this engine as it stands right here, right now. We only got 335 or 333.8, I think it was, horsepower at the engine out of it. Really only got one run at that, and then it wanted to start misfiring and carrying on and doing all other kinds of things. So there's a really good chance that the Sagem ECU actually has a couple of other issues as well that will resolve with the Motec upgrade. Now, because this configuration doesn't have a cam sensor, much the same as a Clio 2 RS, like a 172 or 182 engine, it can't find out where it is, if you like, in the cycle. Now, for the Motec, we need to put a cam sensor in it, which we're kind of going to do. We're going to try and get one into here to read off one of the camshaft, or the intake cam sprocket bolts, and once we do that, then the whole system will run fully sequentially. We can run flex fuel on it. We can do all kinds of things, so the car will be a much nicer package overall. And the other thing is, it'll run way more safely than what it has been to date, because there's much better closed loop knock control that is only on the cylinder that's having the event, and there is much better closed loop fuel control, so we'll always be able to trim back to the number we want. The other thing that we will be fitting is a fuel pressure sensor. What that kind of does is, if for whatever reason there's a slight drop in the fuel pressure, the system will open the injector for a little bit longer, so that our target lambda number, or air fuel ratio number, is achieved. So that's where we're going to with this car. We'll have a few more updates over the next few weeks about where we're at and where we got to with the whole thing. But this will be a package that we have available for the Clio 2 RS and the Meg 225 RS, like the non-fully VVT, because what you need to understand is that the Clio 172 and 182, they're kind of more like a VTEC system, where they just turn the cam on against where it kind of should be in the cycle. But with the Motec system, even with those, with a one tooth on the intake cam, we will be able to put full variable valve control into those cars. The Meg 225, the cylinder head doesn't really have any option to be able to do all of that, so you'd really need to update the cylinder head, but you can do that. We still have our Clio 3 RS package, which runs off the same trigger pattern as what the Megane 3 has, and that will also work on a Meg, but that's a full VVT kind of an installation, and it needs to be that factory pattern. But this will give you like another option. So basically, given the fact that we've also got the Meg 3 kits available, and we'll shortly have the Clio 4 kits available, we've really got most of your Renault Megane requirements for a Motec upgrade covered. We'll shortly have an Alpine A110 package available, and we're working on trying to have something with the Megane 4 towards the end of the year. But stay tuned, drop back, see how we're going with this thing, see where we finally get to with the whole upgrade feature. Like all of our stuff, it'll be an adapter loom, so it's fully plug and play, it's completely reversible, it's non-invasive. You can change it back to standard if you really want to, or you can leave the whole Motec kit in. But as all the rest of our kits, it kind of all works nice. The one thing we did notice on this, when we just scanned this car just to double check all the CAN bus stuff, the CAN bus messaging that's being sent out is pretty much what we expected, but a couple of things with this looks like have been changed just for when they've done the tune files on the ECU before. A couple of the throttle channels, It still reaches the maximum number, but it looks like when they've tuned the thing, they've just changed the scaling as to how they come back out of it. Likewise with a couple of the torque demand stuff, which is directly influenced by that throttle request number. So they're a little bit wrong at the moment, and can't help but wonder whether maybe that's causing another couple of issues in this particular car. It's really important to keep that CAN bus exactly how the other modules in the car are expecting to see it as Renault built it in the first place. Some of the reflash tunes, if they go in and change the wrong map and it changes some of those values, sometimes you can get a little bit of an adverse reaction from other modules within the car, and maybe that's part of the reason why this car's just had so many issues and it's so down. Everyone's had a little bit of a go at trying to get in the ECU and sort it. No one's really been able to get there. I just think that once you get to a car of this level, in the Renault kind of a platform, you've really exceeded what that factory ECU can handle. So it's probably where you need to look at upgrading to an aftermarket ECU. But anyway, we'll keep you updated. We'll see where we get to with this. Thanks for watching once again. Look forward to catching up with you on the next update. Thank you.